The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
What started as one hotel in Toronto has become the standard for luxury worldwide. Today, we're going to talk about how people were the key to the Four Seasons success. Welcome to Toronto Speaks Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Kosiner. Have you ever wondered how to turn an idea into a Fortune 500 company? In this show, I'll be taking you step by step through the most noble profession that you could choose. That's entrepreneurship. Starting a business is a lot like having a child, and trust me, I know. Since 13, I've given birth to 8 companies and a charity, and every mother has, before every kid graduates college, there's a lot of hard work. A lot of painstaking, frustrating, emotionally draining, but rewarding hard work. Simply put, if you want your business to succeed, you got to do the pushing, and there's no epidural in entrepreneurship. But where do you start? Tonight, we're talking all about ideas, how to formulate ideas, what makes them successful, and what you can do with them. Joining us tonight is a man whose unique idea of focusing exclusively on the guest experience has changed the hospitality industry forever. Mr. Isadore Sharp graduated from Ryerson University in 1952 with a diploma in architectural technology. 8 years later, he founded the Four Seasons Hotel, which opened in Toronto in 1961. He now has hotels in 35 countries, and the Four Seasons is set to open its newest property, where it all began, in Toronto this Friday. Mr. Sharp is joining us this hour, answering your questions about business and entrepreneurship. So if you've got a question for Mr. Sharp, please call 416-446-7090. Or you can send us a message on Facebook at facebook.com/Toronto Speaks. You can also tweet your questions at Toronto Speaks. So welcome, Mr. Sharp, and thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
It's episode 1. We're at the ground up on entrepreneurship.
Okay,
and from a business perspective, it's
nothing to compare.
Nothing to compare this to. And you know, it might be a little bit rough, but I appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure.
So can you tell me a bit about how the Four Seasons all began, how this journey over the last number of years started to where you are today?
Well, you know, it didn't begin as an idea to build a hotel company. My basic background is a builder, and that was my job was to develop real estate, and that's all this was. It was simply a real estate deal. I had an idea to maybe combine what was then considered the best of a motel and a hotel.
Yes.
And it was just going to be that, do something that I thought would work and probably sell it when it was finished.
And was there a defining point where you realized that the Four Seasons, the brand, the way that's known today, like this is what it was going to be?
Yeah, that happened, but it was many, many years later. Probably if we opened the first hotel, spring of 1961, it would have been 1970, 71, that I really got the idea of what I thought I could do and do well, and maybe make the hotel business a career. So, if you think about it, 10 years of just doing what I was doing before, building and trying to make a living. Struggling to build houses and raise a family.
Did you find that certain times there were people that didn't see eye to eye with you?
Many times.
And what did you do? Because I'm a young guy, and I know a lot of people at home are just starting out right now. What did you do when someone didn't see the vision the way that you saw the vision?
Well, you have to have a firm belief in your own convictions. Because when you're talking of an idea that you don't know much about yourself,
yes,
but it is an idea, then you've got to be able to withstand the skepticism and the naysayers and find ways to get through those detours that are going to constantly be put in front of you. But if you can see the future as an idea that you think will work, and you've got the perseverance and the conviction to stick with it. Now, I don't mean sticking with it, against all odds.
Yeah.
You still have to, see that there's going to be a way through this quagmire that people put up in front of you. And it takes time. It's not a fast journey. It's not something that, you'll say, well, I'll try it for 6 months.
Yeah.
If I thought in building the first hotel that it would take me 5 years to do it, I would have probably stopped after the first month.
So, and when's enough?
Well, when the spark of an idea doesn't go out, so you still believe in it, you keep persevering. And those days, weeks, months turn into years.
Yeah.
And finally, you do get a break and the help. And trust me, this doesn't happen on your own. It's always the support and help you get along the way.
Well, you're known for having great employees who love what they do, and I know you treat them very well as well. How did that come about, and how did you always make sure that employees were taken care of the way that the Four Seasons has been known to take care of its employees?
Well, I think you run a business the way you feel, and that I always, coming out of construction and dealing with workmen who really, worked hard and gave you their all. So my approach in dealing with people was based upon my early upbringing. Treating people with respect, what they're entitled to. So that's basically the way it started.
Yeah.
It is not a formal way of describing the human relations and the human resource department. It was just a way of working. So it was an implicit understanding. It was many, many years later that I made it explicit.
Yeah.
And turned it into something that has now become our corporate culture.
And what was it like translating what you created here into different languages and bringing it abroad?
Well, we built the company primarily in the English-speaking world, North America primarily in London. Our first venture into, I guess, foreign countries and languages was much later. Its first one was, I guess, in Japan. We opened in Tokyo in a hotel in the not downtown Tokyo, but on the outskirts in Shinzanzo, and that was 1992.
Yeah.
So it's almost 30 years after we'd sort of got our feet on the ground and moving forward, and I didn't find it any different.
So the Four Seasons just translated, and how did you keep it unique in the different countries that you went to?
Well, we always, we started with any new hotel and development with a blank sheet of paper. So there's no cookie cutter. It's trying to develop and build what would be indigenous and something that would relate to the country or the city that we're in. So from an aesthetic and architectural point of view, we were always conscious to do what the community would understand fits within their community. And as far as the service and the people, the premise that, of course, the company is built on is the golden rule.
Yes, which you talk about in your book.
I do. And that came about many years later when I said, we then made what was understood as an implicit and explicit. So we described in detail what we would like our people and how they should behave when they are working for the company, not to tell people how to live.
Yeah.
And that principle of the golden rule is really a universally accepted concept because it's embedded in every scripture in every religion, saying it different ways, but the meaning behind it is part of every religious belief.
Yes.
So when we go abroad, now we're in 36 different countries, we're not preaching something, we're acting out how we expect them to behave.
I'm going to have to pause you right here for right now because we're going to be taking questions with you when we come back. We're going to have to take a short little break. Please call, tweet, or Facebook us your questions, and be sure to stick around. There's lots more to come. And welcome back to Toronto Speaks Entrepreneurship. Tonight, I'm joined by Mr. Isadore Sharp, the founder and chairman of the Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts. If you've got a question for Mr. Sharp, please call us at 416-446-7090, or you can send us a message on Facebook at facebook.com/Toronto Speaks. You can also tweet us at Toronto Speaks. We're talking tonight about everything that makes a great business, and the different ideas that come about. Where we just left off, I wanted to find out, there's always this key thing with real estate. Everyone says it's location, location, location. Is that accurate?
It is. You have to be in a location that's convenient to where your customers want to do their business, or if it's leisure travel. But from a Four Seasons customer,
yes.
So we do our focus groups and our research. The number one priority is service,
yes.
Personal service. Second is location. Third is the product, and fourth is recognition.
Yes.
So it always comes down to the individual's personal needs.
And what had you write a book? What was the behind writing your book?
Well, that was suggested that I should get something recorded for history.
Yes.
Which is what I did. And the main reason behind writing the book was basically for the 35,000 employees we presently have, and the thousands more who will be joining the company as we continue to grow. Mm-hmm. Because I felt if they knew how and why we got to where we are, it would give them a better sense of how to deal with the future. Mm-hmm. So that became a part of history that nobody knew about, because nobody was there when I was doing all these things.
Yes.
And it becomes an important part for people to really see that it's been a very slow process. It's an evolution of how the company got to where it is, not an overnight, lightning strikes and we've got every idea that worked.
So the actual book is almost to share your thoughts of how you created the company and have that live on for hundreds of years to come. Is that the game plan?
Well, yeah, it's got that possibility, sure.
And where do you see the Four Seasons going over the next several years? You've come so far, and where do you want it to go?
Well, we set out back in one of the original strategic decisions. The first one was to only operate medium-sized hotels of exceptional quality and to be the best. Mm-hmm. So that sets your path, and that's the direction.
How did you get there?
Well, we got there through trial, experiences. We didn't decide to do that until 10, 11 years later. And that came about of having built this boutique hotel in London, England. At that time, it was called the Inn in the Park. And again, that was a 5-year process of negotiating and getting it done. And when we opened that hotel in 1970, I had also been involved in creating and developing a major convention hotel in downtown Toronto, which opened just around the same time. And that was called the Four Seasons Sheraton, 1,600-room convention hotel. And the contrast of seeing how that hotel operated, and it was very successful, mm-hmm. and how we were running the London hotel, gave me a clear picture of what I thought we as a company could do and what I could do best. And that's when that first decision was made, what I just repeated, to only operate and to try to focus on one. In other words, we were going to specialize. Mm-hmm. But that one statement that we're only going to operate and be the best, the first part of it is, let's be my guest. To say we're going to be the best, that was a stretch, because that was only the third hotel.
Yeah.
But it was based upon what we had already accomplished. In London, when we opened that hotel, in its first year, we were voted the best hotel in Europe. Oh. And I knew how we did that. And it was that concept that I was intending to carry forward to make Four Seasons the best wherever we would build.
And how long did it really take for you to get that reputation? Because always starting a new business and getting your name out there and getting what you do out there and being the best in what you do, getting that, being known for that. How long did that really take to develop?
Oh, until we got today, we're recognized as the brand. Oh, well, let's say I made that statement in 1971.
Okay.
In 1986, when we were going to go public, and making, the road show and telling the financial community what it is, who we were and what we were going to do, I made a statement then that said I thought that within 10 years that Four Seasons would be as well known for what we represented, meaning luxury in terms of the five-star, as the other hotels that we were competing against, the Hyatts, Marriotts, Hiltons, etc. So we're setting a timeline of 10 years from that point forward to say we could establish ourselves as a meaningful force within the industry. So if you add the years up from 1970 through 1986 and add another 10, it takes a long time.
Wow.
And you only achieve that through the experience of your customers, because they are the judge and jury.
And what happened when you started getting major investors? Did that change the way the business run?
Not really. I've always had partners.
Yeah.
And, that goes with the territory. We changed the business model, again, as a result of, mistakes made and learned by them, and decided early on to try to not develop real estate, but develop a management company.
Yes.
So we're always having partners.
Yeah.
People who own the hotel, the major owners. We would always have a small investment. So we've always dealt with partners. And that's a part and parcel of every business.
For sure. Well, we have our first caller on the line. We're going to go to Tom from Toronto. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Sharp. I would like to get your views on the proposition of re-emerging markets in Europe where the property market has basically collapsed. And there's some very fine hotels and resorts with about 100 million or so building value and they're on the markets for less than 20 million. So, I mean, they're all fairly high-end properties, five-star properties. They're not by no means, and they're profitable. They're trading profitably. I'm wondering if it's an entrepreneurial proposition to look at some of these things and say, well, why build something for 100 million when you can buy it for 20?
What's going on, like with the state of the economy? What do you think about that?
Yeah, the properties don't come cheap.
Yeah.
Anything that's up for sale, you look at it, but they're not under distress or stress.
Yes.
Especially in Europe, because those are old, established hotels, and the markets in Europe it's difficult. That whole economy there is suffering, and our hotels, we have a couple that don't get affected by it, but we're dealing with a global industry.
Yes.
And there's always going to be spots and parts of the world that aren't quite working the way you would like. That's the benefit of, being a little broader based. The good parts of the world make up for the poor parts of the world.
For sure.
But Europe is going through a difficult time. And, it's something that everybody should recognize. That business is very cyclical. And you have to be prepared to deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's the staying power of getting through it. In the good times, we can all be very successful and, run with the wind behind our back.
For sure.
But you always have to be prepared for that, that perfect storm. And it's only if you can get through it that you can sustain yourself over the long term.
Well, I hope that really helped, Tom. I was also wondering about social media. The Four Seasons has been doing a great job with integrating new technologies and social media to that. How has business really changed from when you first started to today with technology and different technologies being integrated into the business culture?
Oh, it's a major change.
Yeah.
Major, because, the world is, connected. Everybody's wired. And we are using it as best we can to not take away from the personal connection to the customer, but to allow the technology to add to the service. So social media is a huge opportunity for everybody. It allows us to be able to respond to people who will Twitter or talk about what their experience was. And we're on social media 24/7.
Yes.
So,
And the photos are fantastic of all the different properties. I use it all the time on my Facebook. And speaking of properties, you have your latest property that's opening very shortly here in Toronto. And we recently had the opportunity to swing by the new Toronto Four Seasons Presentation Gallery. And we spoke to Mr. Dimitri Zarikos, who's the Regional Vice President and General Manager for the Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto. Let's take a look. So today we're here at the Four Seasons Toronto Presentation Gallery, and I'm joined here by Dimitri, who's the Regional Vice President and General Manager of the Four Seasons Toronto, and it's opening only a few days from now. What can guests expect from the new Four Seasons here in Toronto?
Hopefully they can expect excellence like we've been known for in Toronto and around the world, in Toronto specifically for the last over 50 years. So we want people to feel comfortable as they walk in. They feel that they have found a place that is welcoming. Our staff is always welcoming. Our decor, our design, our art is first class. We have beautiful restaurant and bar associated with Daniel Boulou. And we have a gorgeous spa.
Yes.
The most beautiful, largest spa in the city actually. And we also have beautiful spaces for events, and I think very spacious and well-appointed rooms.
And when you're a guest at the Four Seasons and you go to the spa, what kind of things are inside the spa?
Well, the spa actually occupies the entire 9th floor of the hotel, and then the pool takes over the top of the function space. So it's over 32,000 square feet along with the fitness center. So it has a lot of space, and you know, sometimes we say the luxury of empty space. I mean, there's quite a bit of space so that you don't feel cramped.
So this not only is a hotel, but it's also, there are private residences there as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that came to be?
Absolutely, and actually I would say that these days in most of our developments there is an element of residential. As you can see that you have the complex here, you have the high tower, the west tower, what we call it, the lower tower, and then you have the function space. The hotel occupies the first 21 floors of the high tower, and the rest up to 55 to the penthouse is residential apartments. All sold, by the way. And then you have another 32 floors of apartments on the lower tower, with few of them still available for sale. So for us, going forward to the next 50 years, and under the leadership of Katie Taylor, our CEO, it's important for us to showcase what is best about Four Seasons and where we're going. So this is really what is unique about us. We have tried to put together everything that today the traveler and the local guests would expect of a property of the reputation of Four Seasons.
So you're building a landmark property that Toronto probably hasn't seen before. It's something that you guys are clearly very proud of.
That's so.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much for spending the time and showing us around the property.
You're very
and wish you and the team at the Four Seasons the best of luck, and congratulations on your new property.
I appreciate it.
And that's a glance into the new Four Seasons property that's opening on October 5th. We've got another call from Chris from Etobicoke. Chris, go ahead. What's your question for Mr. Sharp?
Good evening, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Go ahead. Yep.
Yes, I am I have a new business, and I just started out.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, come tax time, if your business has more expenses than profit, what happens?
Okay. Do you want to answer that one?
well, if you're not making enough money to pay your expenses, you've got to make some changes, because you're not going to stay in business very long if you're going to be negative at the end of every year. So you've got to assess what it is that you've done that's cost you. Your costs have gone up and your revenue hasn't kept up with it. So it's you have to act on that and figure out whether you've got a business that can be profitable. If it can't, then you've got to make other decisions. But it's a business. You can run at a loss for a certain number of years if that is part of your business plan, that you expected to have a slow startup, and at least the trend was what you expected. So I'm not sure what business you're talking about, but be careful when your expenses exceed your revenue.
Yeah, it happens just from my experience as well. You have to make sure that you're covered, and it's often a cash flow issue right off the top as well. If you could, depending on what your suppliers do and what they offer you and what kind of business you're in, you may want to see if there's a way of solving your cash flow problems by speaking with your suppliers and see if they could change the terms perhaps so that you've got 6 or 8 months to pay. It's an easy way of making sure that your business is covered as well. Does that help, Chris?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a great night.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What you might want to think about is anytime you're starting a new business,
Yes.
Whatever you've planned in terms of how long it'll take you or how much it might cost,
Yeah.
just double both.
It's good advice. And it always happens that way, doesn't it?
That's right.
Now, when do you actually need a business plan, in your opinion? Mine, I hate business plans. Unless you're going to the bank and asking for money and they need it, why would you write 42 pages of a business plan? Planning is great, but do you have any advice to people who are starting out?
Yeah, you don't want to get too complicated. It's a simple way of deciding what it is you're trying to do and what the cost will be, and is there a market out there? So it's not a question of what you want. It's a question whether is there a market there, is what the customers want. Have you got something that's going to appeal to a base of customers that will pay a price for what your product is and let you make a reasonable profit?
For sure. I understand you're an expert negotiator, and I don't want you to give away the tips because obviously for business it's not good to tell whoever might be watching out there that what your tips are for negotiations, but is there any advice that you have in that realm?
Well, a gentleman many years ago gave me a very simple couple sentences. Know what you want.
Okay.
Ask for it, and then make sure you get it. But negotiation is really understanding the partner or whoever you're going to go in business with and understanding their needs as well. And if you're not going to be able to satisfy their needs, it doesn't matter what your needs are because you're never going to get together on it. And it's not a question of how many points you win, but make sure you know what the important points are and don't compromise on those. And if you get 1 point for every 10 they get, that's a good deal if you've got the point that you think is important.
So then, is that how you would define success? Everyone talks about success as this grandiose thing. How would you, what does success mean to you?
I mean, the measurement of success? Well,
It's pretty, people talk about it all the time, but there isn't sort of a definition for it that I found that personally works.
well, I think, it's a question of what it is you're attempting to do.
Yeah.
If it's, if in business, success is something measured about the financial and, the profit line that, determines how much you're making. My approach to a measurement of success, personal success, is really how many other people have had a better life or have been successful along with you.
Wow.
So it's not what you only achieve, because you never do it on your own. And therefore, it's a measurement of, are there many other people whose lives have been improved, who've been successful? And I think that's the true measurement of a person's, approach to business.
Yeah.
Not what one person does, but how many people have been able to have a better life because of the success of the business.
We have another call on the line from Gwen from North York. Gwen, what's your question?
Hi, quick question for Isadore Sharp. Just wondering if he could go back in time and start his career again, would he do anything differently?
Well, I'm a great believer in looking at what you have today and, judging that in its totality. Because, along the way, not everything works out as planned and mistakes are made along the way. But if you change anything in the past, if you could, which you can't, then for sure the future would be different. So I look at it today and I wouldn't change anything because I'm quite satisfied with the results that we've achieved. And therefore, it's, as you make your decisions, they won't all work out as planned. They become an experience that you should use from those mistakes along the way, that you don't repeat them.
Yeah.
And that's basically the way I've always sort of looked at things, and not look back, but look ahead.
Can you share a little bit about what happened on Bathurst way back when and with the building? You share about it in your book as well.
On
I think on Bathurst Street, one of your first properties, you had a tilting issue
Oh
or
my
something?
goodness. That's in my construction days, yeah. No, I attempted to do something that I didn't know very much about. I had a great father who believed, because I went to school and he didn't, that I should know what I'm doing. And we had excavated adjacent to another apartment building, very, very deep excavation. And I had figured out how to support the soil. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't engineered properly because I didn't know much about it. And we were in a heavy rainstorm. And I noticed the wall was starting to cave in. And this building would fall into the foundation if we didn't do anything. And I called in a panic a partner in that project, Max Tannenbaum, and I said, Mr. Tannenbaum, you've got to get your people down here with these cranes and welders, and we've got to support this. And our people worked through this driving rainstorm. Yeah. And we finally did.
It's true dedication right there, right?
Well, that I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you had that.
Well, that's all. It's in your book. I just want to mention that as well. I'm a personal huge fan of your book, and I know it's been out for a little while, but yeah, thank you. Sorry, Gwen. Thank you very much for your call, and we have another caller on the line, Michael from Toronto. Michael, what's your call?
Hello,
Michael, go ahead.
Basically, I'm calling. Hi.
Hi, can you mute your TV?
Hi. I'm actually not hearing you quite properly right now, so I'm just gonna sum this up because it's just like the phone line is a little unclear. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically my question to you is, sir, I've actually seen the Four Seasons quite a numerous amount of times, and I noticed the wonderful architecture that's going on over there. It's just a wonderful vision in the eyes of Torontonians.
Sorry, Michael, can you mute your TV in the background?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. So we got great architecture. That's what we've got so far. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, my question is, how does one start a successful business? What are the first steps one could take to ensure his or her business as a successful one?
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a question of what appeals to you. What is it that you feel you've got a skill, and what is it that you're trying to do? And my suggestion is that try to follow your passions. Try to figure out what is it that you yourself can identify with. And usually that will lead you in a direction and an understanding of what it is you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I just, each person has their own DNA of skills. Try to figure out what it is that you like to do and what you can do best.
So what's the best part about the new Four Seasons hotel that's opening?
Well, firstly, it's the first time in 50 years that we're going to have a real Four Seasons.
Yeah.
And
what do you mean by that?
The building.
Yes.
Because the first one was a motor hotel, and the one we just left was a hotel that we purchased. It was formerly a Hyatt. Mm-hmm. And it was built in the 70s. So physically, we've never had what we are known to have today.
Yes.
And this hotel embodies everything we've learned. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking the liberty of calling this our flagship hotel.
Yeah, and I don't know if I made it clear in the introduction, but you're from Toronto, like you're born and raised in Toronto, and you have the head offices for the Four Seasons in Toronto. And personally, I think that the Four Seasons has been one of the greatest things that's come out of Canada internationally, and a brand that people recognize and a company that people love to go to and go to your hotels. What different features and amenities can people expect, and what really makes that guest experience at the new hotel in Toronto?
Well, we've always had the direction that we give to ourselves that the latest should be the best. Because it should take advantage of everything we've learned and make sure it adapts to the city's needs. So this hotel embodies everything we've learned over these last 50 years. The size of the bedroom, all the technical needs that the guests will be addressed properly, the spaces, and of course all the materials you use. Mm-hmm. And this is a very modern hotel, so the design aesthetically is going to feature, state-of-the-art, crisp, contemporary design. And in a matter of the way it functions, because the important part is not the way it looks, but the way it works for the guest's point of view.
Yes.
And we're very conscious of that. So when the arrival from this magnificent courtyard to the approach to people, whether they're going to the dining room, ballrooms, or to their bedroom,
Yes.
each step along the way should reinforce what the guest expects as an experience.
Oh.
And I think they will all be satisfied because the designers, architects, engineers, everybody who's been involved really just brought out the best.
Everyone, your staff is just beaming and so proud of the new property, and all I've been told is it's the landmark property that everyone should be proud of being in Toronto.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
We've got another call from Steve from Toronto. Steve, go ahead. What's your question for Mr. Sharp?
Yes, hi there. I just wanted to find out, actually the question is regarding Chef Boulud. Is opening a restaurant within a Four Seasons and hiring a celebrity chef like Daniel Boulud part of the mandate? Is it part of a marketing strategy? I mean, I understand that there's a lot of big name chefs all and around Toronto, and I just wanted to find out what was the purpose behind it, and and having Boulud in the city is a great thing for the city, so I just wanted to know what your take was on that.
Go ahead.
Well, the industry, the restaurant industry has evolved dramatically since we built our first hotel. So now restaurants are a brand by themselves. It's a separate business almost. So we have decided in some of our hotels to bring in a world-renowned chef. We've done this before, but this is Daniel Boulud, who's well recognized from New York and other places, to really put two brands together, the Four Seasons and Daniel Boulud.
Yes.
And we think Toronto is a city that certainly enjoys the fine restaurants we have, many, many of them. So this is just another approach to a refinement within the hotel industry. So rather than what historically was known as hotel dining rooms, we're now making restaurants as part of the hotel.
And that's on the second floor, correct?
It's on the ground floor and the second floor. So the ground floor has the bar, it's called De Bar. Again, it'll serve some food, and this floor above will be the main restaurant.
Well, you're very popular right now. We have another call from Alex from Etobicoke. Alex, what's your question for Mr. Sharp?
Hi, Evan and Mr. Sharp. I'm a big fan of the Four Seasons. I'm looking forward to the opening of a new one. I love your book as well. I'm just wondering, what is your favorite property that you've had a chance to build, and why?
Well,
do you get that question a lot?
You can understand over the years, that's a question I get many, many times, especially when I visit the hotels. And the answer I give, and it's not political, is the hotel I'm in is the favorite of the day.
Okay.
But there's a reason for that. You know, remember, I've been responsible for being part of creating every hotel. So whether it's the latest, which is Toronto, and I was there the other day, or whether it's one of the older hotels, which would say be Vancouver.
Yes.
While I'm there, and I'm only spending 24 hours, that's my pattern of arriving sometime late morning, leaving the next day, I'm only dealing with that hotel for that 24-hour period, and it brings back the history, the memories, the people. Many of these hotels have people working there who've been there since the hotel opened.
Yeah.
So the history of that hotel, while I'm there and dealing with the people and talking about the issues that they're facing and where we are as a company, really make that hotel my favorite of the day.
It's a great politically correct answer, correct? It's fantastic.
But it is a fact, because I'm talking with people who I've met many times over the years.
Yes.
And this has been a great life for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you think, I was in Philadelphia a while back, and the general manager asked would I meet with some of the people who were there when the hotel opened. So we're sitting around, I had about even 40 of them in the room. And I said, look, instead of me talking, why don't we go around and you tell me, what's life been like for you since day one when this hotel opened? Now remember, they've never lost a day's work.
Yes.
Each one of them talked about the meaning, how meaningful the business and working in the hotel has been for them, their family, and friends. So when you hear this, I mean, how can you not feel a connection to that hotel for that day? Because these people, met their wives, got married, children, and the kids have gone on to university. Some are doctors and professional people. And so it's given many people a way of life.
Exactly. I got to pause you right there. We're going to go to a quick golf segment and then a break. So business and golf go hand in hand, right? And and I, however, have never played golf. So in the spirit of business and the Four Seasons hotels and resorts having numerous golf courses around the world, I've decided to venture into the world of golf and take a look what happened. Hi, I'm here with Andre Courier, Director of Academies and Services here at Golftown, and we're in Golftown, Etobicoke, and I'm trying to find out, I'm looking how to golf and looking to figure out, how do I find a great teacher?
Well, first step is you've come to Golftown.
Yeah.
Every Golftown that we have a PGA of Canada golf professional, Class A. So that's one way of finding a golf professional, or you could go on pgaofcanada.com, and they have a location there where you could find a pro near you, put your postal code, and they will link you to some golf professionals that teach for a living.
I think a lot of people are wondering, how do you figure out like what qualities, like how do you find a good teacher as a match personality-wise?
Well, nothing wrong with doing a bit of an interview with a golf professional, finding out what they believe in, how they teach, their philosophies. Having a PGA of Canada Class A, they've gone through the same schooling, so they have the education for it. It's a 3-year course, and once they grade their Class A, they become certified, so there's different levels. But getting a Class A PGA of Canada would be a good way to start.
And now here's a question that I've been dying to know. Will you be my golf pro and teach me how to golf over the course of the season?
As a matter of fact, I will.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Definitely check in next week and we'll have more golf tips here with Andre at Golftown.
Thank you.
We're back on Toronto Speaks Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Kosiner, and tonight we have the honor to be joined by Mr. Isadore Sharp. Mr. Sharp's the founder and chairman of the Four Seasons Hotels. If you've got any questions, feel free to call us at 416-446-7090. You can also reach us on Facebook. We're going to be getting to some of those questions soon at facebook.com/Toronto Speaks. You can also tweet us your questions at Toronto Speaks as well. I understand we've got a caller on the line. We're going to go to Chris. Chris? Hello, Chris. Hi.
Yes, thank you for accepting my call again.
Round two.
Round two.
What's your second question for Mr. Sharp?
Yes, I'm really passionate in terms of the field and scope of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And I'm really looking for, a mentor, somebody to kind of like, show me, mistakes that they've made and what they've learned from. So, Mr. Sharp, I don't know if you offer any type of counseling, business counseling or mentorship. Or if you could steer me in the right direction of who can provide that bit of information.
You must have gone to your fair share of business seminars over the time, Mr. Sharp.
Yeah, no, I never have really, but no, I don't get involved in acting as mentor and or counselor. But I'm sure there are, the schools will have, any business school would be glad to sort of assist you in understanding what you should be looking for. We're
both Ryerson alumni, right?
So any academic background would be helpful.
Although if you ever want to, there's clearly a market for it, and I'm sure you know a great hotel you could host it at, right? That's for sure. We've got a couple of Facebook questions as well. We're going to go to that. And just before we do that, can you tell me a little bit about your family and Rosalie, who I hope is at home watching, and hello to you. Actually, we're going to go to this Facebook question first. My apologies. From Noah, what was the most daunting obstacle you encountered in business, and how did you overcome it?
Well, over the years, there have been many. The most difficult time that I and the company faced would have been a financial crisis.
Yes.
Back in 1980-81. When the interest rates skyrocketed up to 22%. And I, at that time, owed the bank much more money than I should have, and therefore that created a problem. So my approach to it was to go to the bank, had a meeting and discuss, the situation. And my request was would they extend my line of credit, not only extend it, but would they increase it?
Yes.
Because we had to get over this downturn, which was going to cause a negative cash position for the company.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredulous that here I am coming to meet him thinking that I'm going to tell him how to pay down the line rather than I should increase it. In any case, he said, look, I can't go to the board you don't have the collateral, you don't have any reason for us to do that.
Yes.
But if you're so confident that this is something that will work, then why don't you pledge your personal stock in the company as collateral?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer, of course, was, look, I'm not borrowing the money, it's the company, and it's not, you're not lending me the money. He said, I know, but you're asking me to lend you the money.
Yes.
My accountants and lawyers all said, look, don't do that. The bank can't do anything. They need you more than you need them. Just, hang in there, tough. But I decided against that and gave him my stock.
Mm-hmm. Good decision.
Well, I did believe if they helped, we would get through it. So I wasn't, it was a risk, yes. But if they didn't give me the money, there was no risk because we wouldn't be around here talking today.
For sure.
And that was the Bank of Nova Scotia. They lent me my first dollar.
Wow.
And have never, ever said no in terms of any time I've asked for extended lines. So it's been a good relationship, and it worked. Wow. But that was a testy time.
And we've got another question as well from Facebook, from Jason, and we're just going to get to that there. Jason writes in, I'm seeking to launch an online business within the mortgage industry. To compete in this highly competitive market, I need a technology investment. I'm struggling. What should I build? I'm struggling with, should I build small and test my ideas first and risk getting no traction versus a bigger solution involving business outsourcing partners and more cost? Hope you can provide some words of wisdom.
Well, technology, everybody's jumping into it with different ideas. If the idea is a good one, I would suggest you start small, make sure you've got everything organized in a manner which will satisfy the venture capitalists who you will need. Mm-hmm. So do your homework, make sure you've got everything that will be something that a customer will want. Mm-hmm. You're up against a lot of competition in technology these days. I mean, every day somebody's got a new idea. But stick with it. If that's what you like to do, do it.
For sure. Well, many entrepreneurs use technology to benefit their business. This week, our tech guru, Andy Walker, explores a new application called Basecamp. Andy, can you tell us a bit more about it?
Well, thanks, Evan. I run a company that has various team members in different cities, and some days this drives me nuts. On some projects, it can be really hard to get everyone on the same page. That's why it's worth looking at a web service called Basecamp. This project management service lets you easily create a hub for communication around specific projects on the web. You create a project, grant your team access, and then you can share documents, have discussions, and track projects all in one centralized place. One of my favorite features is the to-do list. You can create a task, assign a due date, and send the to-do to one of your employees. Well, it's a great feature until people start sending them to you. But nonetheless, I also assign myself to-dos and gleefully check them off when they're complete. It's very satisfying. The other handy feature for managers is tracking your team's progress. You can see when each person last accessed Basecamp or worked on an item. Now, while you could see this as a big brother feature, I like to use it to check on someone's progress when I'm working with them to get something done. It's also a great resource if you need to work with a client or supplier on a project, especially if you need to share digital assets or documents. Basecamp doesn't offer a mobile app directly. However, a third-party app called Carabina gives you access on the iPhone for $1.99. There are mobile apps for Basecamp on the Android side of things, but not all are compatible with the latest version of Basecamp. But that'll change in the coming weeks. Basecamp itself is free for 45 days, and then you pay a fee starting at about $20 per month. Check it out at basecamp.com. I'm Andy Walker, and you can find out more about me at cyberwalkermedia.com. Now back to you, Evan.
Thanks so much, Andy. Great stuff. Mr. Sharp is here answering your questions. We've got a few minutes left, so I want to get through as many questions as possible. And I understand behind every great man, there's a great woman. Can you tell me a little bit about your wife, Rosalie, and what she's contributed to yourself and the good of the Four Seasons and her new restaurant that she's really helped to create as well?
Yeah, she's designed the new restaurant here in the hotel that's going to open on Friday. No, look, we've been married, just turned 57 years. And there's no doubt that I wouldn't be where I am today without having the support of somebody who is there every step along the way with everything you need. And, she's a very talented, very creative person. So a lot of my understanding of what looks good and what is good comes from living with somebody who knows those facts. And it's been like an education. So she's been a great supporter, looked after the kids when I was, not around.
Yes.
Never complained, and was willing to, go out and work when I was going to fail with all these things.
Going on. Got a question from Twitter as well, and we're going to go to that right now. It's going to pop up on the screen from Alex, and Alex writes on Twitter, "Hey Evan, I have a question. What is the future of small to medium-sized enterprises as startups and high-growth companies take over?" And sorry, it's from Dana. What do you think as more and more companies are being taken over, what the future for small and medium-sized businesses is?
Well, there's always room. There's always room for any niche player in the markets. It's a question of, are you going to be better than what the competition is? Is your price range going to be more acceptable to the market? So don't be concerned with size. Just be concerned with having a product that you think will be marketable, and it'll then, become what it can be.
Have you ever been intimidated?
Not really. I've never, gotten a position where I felt uncomfortable with what I was doing. And I think, trying to do things that are not within your own psyche would cause you to sort of be in the wrong position at the wrong time.
And can you tell us about your philanthropy? You've done a ton of great stuff over the years that I think you should really be acknowledged for. I know you're very close with the Terry Fox Foundation, and you really took that on. What can you share about philanthropy and why you got involved with different organizations?
Well, I think philanthropy is a way of life in terms of, as you're growing up and the things, your upbringing gives you your basic values and principles. And part of that is sharing with what you have. Like our parents had nothing. They came, immigrants. But with little they had, it was always sharing with others.
Yes.
So you grow up in an atmosphere of, if you've got good fortune, that gives you an opportunity to take, understanding we are blessed the fact that we happen to be born in a part of the world that allows us opportunity.
For sure.
So it's just been a way of life. When you're younger, it's putting time into helping others. When you're a little more successful, then you add money to that.
So we're wrapping up right now. It's getting towards the end of the first episode. Do you have any presentation tips for me? Because you've done a lot of public speaking in your day, and you continue to on a weekly and monthly basis. You're all over the place.
No, as I mentioned before, I think you've got a very good natural way of presenting and talking and directing your comments to the audience. So I think, you're able to keep the audience riveted.
Well, I can't thank you. I just can't thank you enough for being here, and it's been an honor and a privilege to have you. And everyone around the station says, "Why would you book a big first guest?" And I know I've probably had my fumbles throughout the episode as well, but I really appreciate you being here and building the ground up of this show, and taking a chance on us and taking a chance on me for being here as well.
No, Evan, it's been my pleasure.
Well, thank you. And last quick question: who was the first person to ever call you Izzy?
Well, I guess it must be my mother, because it's what I've grown up with. My name, Isadore is the formal name, but it's just the name that you grow up with. So
well, that's fantastic. Well, we wish everyone at the Four Seasons the greatest success on opening on October 5th. And I really want to thank everyone at home who called in and asked amazing questions from home. Continue those calls and tweets coming in. There's lots more to see online, and go online to check out all the behind-the-scenes footage from tonight. You can check us out at rogerstv.com. So don't forget to tune into our next episode where we're going to explore business registration. My name's Evan Kosiner, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.